I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about the Omni e-performance. This is a new thing we're getting ready to do. My name is Mark Palazzesi. I'm a Human Resources Director over in Human Resources. And with me is Shifney Rawls. She works in Employee Relations at Human Resources. Before I get started, how many people here are going to be evaluating somebody? Okay, and how many people are going to be evaluated? And how many people here are going to help somebody with their evaluations? Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know the demographics. Okay, so many of you probably have used the old A&P evaluation for many years. This particular new system we're going to use is a little different, but it's a little more efficient, and I think once you get started on it, you're going to like it. But let me go through some of these things for you. We started e-performance actually a few years ago, and before that we've been doing probably maybe 3 or 4 years of development work on it. So to let you know the history about it, what we did, we found that we had a lot of different evaluations going on campus. They were all turned in. They were pretty inconsistent. So we got a group together from all divisions, and we talked about what would be a good, consistent A&P evaluation that we could all use, and how could we incorporate that into Omni to make this less of a paper project and more of an electronic method that we could collect information if we wanted to, make sure our position descriptions were updated, things like that. So the task force came up with the concept, and we went through ERP or Omni. How many people are familiar with Omni? Because I hope everybody raised their hand. Okay. Does everybody use Omni fairly regularly? Okay, good, good. So we used PeopleSoft to try to create this e-performance. We started in 2009 with a pilot group of 18 people, just to kind of see how it would work, what are some of the things we needed to do with it. That work went pretty well. The next year, last year, we did phase 1, and we actually did 200, and these were all, we tried to catch all assistant and associate directors. Were any of you in it last year? No, okay. But we tried to get all of them, and we went through, and again, we did some more iterations and found some more things that we needed to tweak it and get it going. And this year, we're doing all A&P employees. We feel confident enough that the system can work, that it'll become an efficient system. So today what I'm going to do is kind of go over with you how it works. It's a little bit different than what we did before. Click. I did ask how many people are going to help someone else, or how many people here are departmental reps. Are there any departmental reps here? Okay. If you work with Omni and you are a departmental rep, these terms right here are sort of new terms. NonPerson Profile. Actually, this is where our position descriptions go now. Almost all A&P, in fact, all A&P position descriptions are now online. So that's a new term there. We also have person profile, and this is a piece of Omni, and each one of you have this on your, if you go to self-service, you can go into person profile, and you can actually look and see, your education level. You can go in there and you can see your position description if you want to. After you've done after you've been rated through this evaluation, you can see your evaluation on there. There's also a piece that allows managers to put in goals for the employee, and those goals can be managed throughout the year. And at the end of the year, those goals can flow into the performance evaluation, and you can be rated on those goals. And that's optional right now. What we're going to show you now, you don't have to use that, but that's something in the future you could use. Okay, go ahead. As you know, this is the old. Everybody recognize this right here? This is generally what we used to use. The problem with this is that a lot of people didn't know what these, actually how these would be applied, or they said, I'm rating somebody on something that's really doesn't have anything to do with their job, or, how they're doing. So we wanted to move away from this. So the Omni ePerformance module, it's paper evaluation to online evaluation. A&P online performances have 5 sections on them now, as opposed to just those little checkoffs. One is FSU behavioral expectations. There's 7 of those. Those are all the things we expect A&P employees to do, and they're pretty common things. And again, this was designated from the task force, and some of these things are organizational commitment, creating a non-hostile work environment, attendance. That was something new that we put on there. We never really have had anything on there for attendance for A&P employees. You're rated right from your position description. So the way we have it now, your responsibilities that are listed on your position description come right over to the performance evaluation. So if you're a manager and you get one of these performance evaluations and you look on it and you say, wow, they don't have that responsibility anymore, then the first thing you do is contact our office and we update the position description. But one of the things we heard from the people who are being evaluated is a lot of times I'm not evaluated on what my position description says. So now we hope that this will keep position descriptions updated and people really be evaluated on what their responsibilities are. The other thing that was added was competencies. And competencies are the things that are on your position descriptions that used to be called knowledge, skills, and abilities. Does everybody know that they have those on their position description? And these are the things that you need to do to get the job done. And how those are rated, they're set at different levels, basic, proficient, and advanced. So take for instance, in my office we have employees who are our IT folks. Well, they have to have a basic understanding of HR practices and principles, but they have to have an advanced knowledge of Cold Fusion, some other app programs to do their job in that position. So we rate those in the position that way. So when you get your position description, and we'll see this a little bit later, when you get your evaluation, you'll see that you're rated on that particular proficiency and you're held accountable for that. We also have goals and objectives, and that's a little section. How many of you, when you talk to your employees, give them goals and objectives for the year? Okay, this is a place where you can go in and say how they did with that and kind of put that in there. So basically with all these, and then an overall rating based on all the other things that you've had here. So that's the new look. Let's see here. Yeah, our annual evaluations will be from August 8th and should be completed by September 9th. So we're hoping that as soon as you go through this, you'll open up and see, get your evaluation started. After the appraisal is completed, completed evaluations will be viewable as historical documents, so we'll go over that. And if you have any questions as you're going through this, you can contact HR and Labor Relations at this number right here, so keep that number handy. On August 8th, which I believe is next Tuesday, right? Monday? Okay. Then we will be able to access all these. I believe some are out there now. So they're out there now if you wanted to go and look. But that's the official date. When you go into it, and we're going to go through the whole process, so you'll see it. But generally, you go to HR. How many people usually go to HR to do something? The HR section, okay. Everybody's familiar with manager self-service, right? Okay. When you go to manager self-service, you should see something there that says performance management now. Okay. If you don't, then you need to contact us because there might be a system glitch or something like that where you haven't gotten it in. Once you go to the performance management, you go to a thing called performance documents. You hit current documents and your employee's position, and you should be able to see all your employees there. If you want to view your employee's position description in Omni, here's a guide right here. Go to HR, Manager Self-Service, Learning and Development, View Job Profiles, click Advanced Search, enter your position, the position number, and I believe you can enter by name too, and you can view the profile, and this is also printable. So position descriptions now for all A&Ps are online. So if you ever want to look at yours or look at an employee's, you can do that. Besides this, yes?
You want to do it by employee name, because we may not have a position number just off the top of our head. Can you do that?
I believe you can. Is that? I haven't
only
been
done
to it
by
in a while.
Position number, and if you don't have the position number available to you, you always can contact your business office and they can get the position number for you. But I believe the profiles are only in there by position number.
Are they?
This time.
Okay. All right. So I'll take that back. We'll look on that. Maybe we'll get it by name, but we do know you can get them by position number. There's some more training materials here concerning this, but let me emphasize that we have the tutorials, you have this class, but feel free to call us if you need any help. We'll come down, we'll sit with you, we'll do it. But I think you're going to find that it is not, it's going to be a lot easier than it was before. So you want to go ahead and okay, you saw we went to the HR, we went to manager self-service. This is what you should have now in your manager self-service. Performance documents. Okay, from performance documents we go to current documents, and then you're going to see, of course you see a bunch of them here, but you should see all your employees right there. If not, you need to call us, but you should see all of them there. You go ahead and click on the performance review. And this, you should see something. It says, you got a status there. It says not started. So if you want to go ahead and start, you hit the button right over there. And this, if you notice up top, it has me here. Now this is just a demo. It has me as the evaluator. It has the person's name who's being evaluated. It gives you some instructions here on how to evaluate, but it's pretty simple. It's sort of a scroll down, drop down sort of thing. So your first thing you want to do is, as I told you before, here's our first section, behavioral expectations. And you have things like organizational commitment, customer stakeholder focus, diversity commitment, teamwork, safe, secure work environment, all these things that we expect from our employees. So let's give them a rating on organizational commitment. Well, see, I have ratings here below satisfactory, above satisfactory. I may know what those mean, but if I want to find out, I can go over here to this little icon, and it tells me right here, below, it does not demonstrate behavioral expectation, demonstrates it so good they're a model to others. So someone wanted to put that in there to point out if somebody was extra good at doing those things. But generally, I just click put on satisfactory. And as you see right here, it's loaded up for you. But you can go ahead, if you got the idea, you can go down and just click these. And let's give her a below satisfactory in one of these. How about that? Okay, if you do this, then one thing you're going to want to do is call Schiffany's area. So because if any of these here that may be an issue with you, you may want to call employee relations because it might be something that you want to give them a heads up on. Right down here you have comments, and what I would suggest you do is if you ever gave anybody a below satisfactory or even above satisfactory, you may want to put down here the reason why, okay, on your comments. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? So if it's below set, you want to say why they were, but if it's above, you also want to say, they're above everyone else because they serve as an example, blah, 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 blah. So when you go on down, the next section, you got responsibilities. Now these populate right from the position description. So everybody, this is one thing employees told us over and over again, is I want to be evaluated on what my position, what my responsibilities are. So these populate all the way over from there. So these are all the different responsibilities, essential functions that this employee has. And we have 4 here. Now, people ask, why do you have 4 here? Well, the behavioral expectations, we started out, as I said, just meets or doesn't meet. But somebody said, no, we want to have another one in there to make sure that, if somebody was extra exemplary on there, we want to give them credit. But in general, the rest of this you're going to see on these ratings, you'll see that. Again, you can go over here to the thing if you want to know what each one of those mean. I think you need to move over a little more. Yep. This gives you an explanation of each one of the ratings. Yeah, of course, you can rate from here too. And you go on down the line. And then you can put some comments in here about, suppose one of these is going to change next year, or one of these is not right. You can probably put a comment down here saying, you know, was not able to catch this responsibility, but it has changed to this, 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 and this. Okay? Okay, now this is one of the newer sections, and this is really competencies. And one of the reasons why we put this section in here is because there was a great call, because every time we had a huge change, sometimes people were reluctant to use new systems or reluctant to get the knowledge they had, or you know, we had a hard time holding people accountable. And one of the reasons was that they didn't really have clear expectations of what that were. You know, what do I need to do? Well, in this particular case, we have in Pat's, you know, she has to have a proficient ability to effectively communicate verbally and in writing. So I'm saying, well, yeah, she's at a proficient level, so I'm going to give her a proficient level there. And you can, again, you can go over here and see what the proficiencies mean. Basic, skill level, applicable, still, so you get the general idea there. If you, go back to the thing again. Suppose, now a lot of you are going to see, if you did not get your position descriptions updated, they weren't, what you're going to see are a set of generic competencies that came over for the job code. If that's the case, and you look at your employees' competencies and say, wait a minute, that's not one they do, you can simply click this right here. And if it is non-applicable, then what you'll do is contact HR again and say, I want to relook at this PD, and I've got a set of competencies I want to make sure I put in the position description. Okay, so we'll go ahead and rate these. If, say, she's below one of these, below proficient, this gives us a good chance to talk with the employee about, okay, you do your job well, but here's an area that you really need to improve on. So you can imagine the next evaluation, what you're going to be able to do is say, okay, I rated you at basic, you know, we gave you the training you needed, now you're back up to proficient again. Suppose a person is operating at an advanced level. There are some cases where you may have, say, like a secretary or a support assistant or something who's doing really advanced work, you know, and then you want to replace that position. Well, one of the good things about rating, using this sort of system here is that on the position description, if that person has set advanced on all these, then that's made the position description advance up a little bit. So that makes it a little more valuable. So then when you're going out to try to hire somebody, what we'll do is we'll look at these proficiencies right here, and instead of going and getting somebody who's going to be basic, you know, you would probably have a good support for hiring somebody who's more advanced in those areas, which means that you could probably, you know, offer them a little more money. So this is one way we're going to be able to track that. So anyway, you give all your, does anybody have any questions about the competency thing so far? Does everybody understand that? Okay. So then you can go in here and write some comments. If they're below, you may want to put in here, we'll send them to Omni training, or we'll send them to some kind of training course or something to bring up their competency that they're not proficient at, or they're not at their rating. So you can just type in something there. Okay, now the fourth and last section is employee goals. As I told you before, there's a section in Omni now called NonPerson Profile, where a manager can go in and put business goals for an employee if you want. Since most of you are just starting out there, a lot of you are not going to have that option, but we'd be glad to show that to you for the next evaluation. But for those of you who have goals, you know, or projects they've been working on, this is the place that you're going to want to put stuff in. And by the way, you can cut and paste anything in these. I mean, there's almost unlimited character space in here. So those of you who like to write dissertations about the evaluations, you can just put it in here. Let me give you one warning though. For some reason, apostrophes come out as little squares when you cut and paste from Microsoft Word. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
I need to save it as a TXT.
Yeah, yeah, but some people get freaked out by that. So, but well, we know that that's what the problem is. So you can go ahead and you know, put whatever you want in there about their goals. And again, if you're using Person Profile, what happens is all these goals will populate over here, and you'll be able to see each one of them. And we encourage you to use that and get familiar with it because it really is a pretty good tool. This last section here, I think, and I mentioned this too, if we move to merit-based pay and some kind of scheme where we have to pay the top 50% and top 25% and that sort of thing, generally if we use the first three sections, you know, it may be kind of hard to figure out who's the most excellent of the excellence. Because one phenomenon we know is that for the most part we give good evaluations to our employees. But suppose you have everybody who's rated exemplary, and you as a manager have to figure out, well, who of those people are the best? Who are those that I need to put in that top 25% or whatever the scheme is going to be? This is probably the best section for you because you can list all their accomplishments, all the goals they did. This will help you decide who the best of the best are. So I encourage you to, you know, if you have goals, to go ahead and state them here and, you know, make sure they're, you know, could support a raise or a merit. Section 5, overall summary. A lot of people like to do a narrative. I think in our old evaluation, that's basically what it was, a little space in there on the PDF where you could, you know, write whatever you want to. Well, this is your area here, and again, you can put a dissertation in there if you want, so there's plenty of room. Okay, so after you've finished all this and you are ready, you know, you think you've done a good job and you are ready, you want to make sure that you save. And let me go back and I want everybody to write this down, okay? One thing that happens with Omni, with all good intentions, you're working on something, someone comes in and interrupts you, you have to leave, you come back, guess what happens? Times you out, okay? So what we want you to do, and this is an Omni problem, save and save a lot. So just get in the habit of hitting that save button every time you do something, or else you'll come back and everything will be gone. It's very frustrating. So every time you're working on this, make sure you hit that save button. Okay, so once you've got that saved, so you've got your document ready, right? You do what you normally do. How many people here have a face-to-face discussion with their employees when they do their evaluation? I hope everybody raises their hand, right? I mean, who doesn't have a face-to-face evaluation with their employees? Okay. Well, what we want you to do is just like always, just like with that other paper thing, we want you to have a face-to-face discussion with the employees. Now, we don't want you to bring them to your computer and do all that, so what we've done is we have a PDF version. Got a pop-up blocker, I think.
Turn off your pop-up blocker.
Yep. But the computer will tell you. But you see you have a very nice printable form here. You can print that out, one for you, one for your employee. You can sit down, have your discussion. The other thing we think this is useful for is, although everyone who evaluates that employee, that's your responsibility, you're the evaluator. Sometimes people want to show the evaluations to their administrator before they give the evaluations. Anybody do that? Yeah, okay. So this is a good idea. Print this out, say, here's what I'm thinking. Have them look at it. Guess what? If they have any changes, you can go back in and make your changes. But when you have your discussion with your employee, you can print this out, have your discussion. So everybody agrees everything's all right, there's no changes, or maybe you guys have a talk and you know, you might want to change a few things. So anyway, after that's done, then you hit available for employee review. Now, before you click that, do not hit this until you have your discussion with your employee. Okay, write that down. Do not hit available for employee review until you've had your face-to-face discussion. That was one at our pilots. We learned a lot of lessons. That was the timeout was one. This was another one. Everybody, oh, okay. They want to hit that thing, but we don't want to do that yet. We want to have our discussion. We want to make sure that we've got all our comments and we're ready to go. So, okay, you've had your discussion. You reviewed it with your boss if you need to. And now you're ready to have the employee look at it and sign off on it. So you hit available for review. You want to hit that you have held your review right here. You might want to write that down. Because if you don't hit this right here, then the other cool things that happen will not happen. And also you have a handout here. And this little handout here is saving and acknowledging a performance evaluation. So here's a step-by-step thing. So after you've had your review, you can use this as a prompter. Okay, can we show from the employee's view now? Okay.
After you hit mark review held, you have to go in and hit that the review was held. Omni's going to ask you, are you sure, are you sure? And once you hit OK, then that sends an email to the employee to have them go in and review the evaluation. They'll get the email. They can use the link that's in the email to go straight to their evaluation, or they can use the navigation that's on our handout. Since we're in a different environment, I'll go through the navigation. I won't receive the email, so I'll show you how the employee can access it.
And by the way, you won't have to do all this. The email will go automatically. Somebody asked me, do we have to go through Q&A and all this? No. It comes right to you. Okay. All right, so the employees got their email. They're going to be able to go right to their evaluation, but we're going to use this to get to it to see what they see. Go ahead and hit self-service. As an employee, you'd go to self-service when you hit performance management, current documents, and you see there it is. But I believe the email takes you right here, doesn't it, Shiffany? Okay, the email will take the employee right here. So they can click on there. They can view. And they can look and see to make sure everything you talked about's there. You know, we usually do this. We usually have employees sign off. They can look and see. Oh yeah, that looks okay to me. Now, we want to make sure that they can put comments in. Some won't. Some will just acknowledge it and say, yeah, I agree with it. But somebody may want to put something else in there, but they do not have to do these comments, but we left it in there to make sure if they had any issues with it or something like that, they could put that in there. They can save it, of course. And after they have done that, they will hit Acknowledge Review. Okay, and now, guess what? An email comes back to me. Okay? And the same thing, I will just like this. And if we click on that, we have to still go back in, don't we? Mm-hmm. Okay. But if you clicked on that, that would go back, I would go right to the review again. So you don't have to go back and forth through Omni all the time. Once you've got this acknowledgement, it's all part of the email process. You know,
you guys have any questions so far?
Will the reviews stay in the supervisor's account, so like next year when doing the review, we go back and look at
that's
it?
correct, and it'll stay in the employees too. So the employees can go to their performance documents and see all their evaluations if they want. Okay, so I want to see, I see that they have acknowledged it. Now, here's the thing, what if an employee doesn't acknowledge it? You know, they say, I am not signing that evaluation. What would they do?
If an employee refuses to acknowledge, now we want to remind them that their acknowledgement is not that they agree with the evaluation, because they can write as many comments as they want, but if they still refuse to acknowledge the evaluation, then you have an option as the manager to go in and acknowledge it for them. You'll be able to go in through manager self-service and hit acknowledge the same way the employees did. What it'll tell you is, I am affirming that I held the meeting and that the employee refused to acknowledge the evaluation meeting. And so you are confirming that's exactly what happened. We don't want you to refuse to acknowledge just to push it through. You know, it's September 9th and the employee is not here and it's the last day and you want to push it through. That's not what that's for. That's only if your employee refuses to sign. If there are other reasons that, like the employee's out on leave or things like that, contact us and we'll work with you to get the evaluation completed. But if they refuse to sign, you as the manager can acknowledge it for them.
Okay. So, but I've seen that they've acknowledged, so if I want to go in and review and see, you know, as a supervisor, I may want to go and see what comments they put in there. You know, usually mine say, God, you're the best boss I've ever had, but, you know, I don't know what yours will say. But, you may want to go in and look and see. So once that's done, guess what? You've got a button down there, hit complete. And of course, Omni always wants to make sure if you're sure. And there you see the status is changed to complete, and you're done. Now, to look at these, that was a good question. These will be posted both in the employees and the supervisors' performance management documents. You'll have them a whole history after a while there. I believe the ratings also show up. Do the ratings show up on the historical documents now? Yeah. Okay, let's show them that maybe. We've had a lot of questions about, oh, can we get my employees to see what their ratings were, you know, because I want to, you know, kind of see what the overall ratings for my employees were. Go to performance documents and see historical documents there. All the list of all your employees will be there. So, for instance, you know, I've got, let's see, 1, 2, some employee, oh, that person's gone, but I've got 1, 2, 3 people here. I've got 2 exemplaries and 1 satisfactory. So this will give you a list of everybody that you've ever given a performance evaluation to. So if you need that information, their overall rating is right down there on the end.
And these are just like test evals.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any questions so far? Does this look scary?
Do we need to go back and look at comments to see if anything happened, if they put in their comments?
Yeah, that's what we just went through that?
I know,
yeah.
Then what? I mean, I'm just going to say complete.
Okay.
Those comments don't really, they're just for the record.
They're for the record, you know. But, you know, there's been occasion, and I guess we missed that part, but there is a button on there. Suppose there was an honest mistake where you had your discussion with your employee and you agreed on something and you just forgot to put it in there and they caught it. We had somebody who actually did this. In the comments, they put, the employee says, yeah, I encourage you to go to read them. He says, yep, this is great, but you forgot this right here. So then you may want to go back in and reopen it if it's urgent enough. And you want to talk about the reopening?
Right there at the bottom, you saw that there was a button that says reopen, and it's also in your handout there. The reopen button reopens the evaluation, because after you make it available for employee review, you can't make any changes to actual evaluation that you've done. When you reopen it, you can make all the changes that you want, save it, but the only thing is it has to go back through the process. It has to go back to the employee for acknowledgement. They have to acknowledge it, and then you have to complete it. So reopen just takes it all the way back to the beginning of the process as far as the employee acknowledging it. But you can reopen the evaluation at any time before you get completed.
It doesn't erase everything in there. It just allows you to edit it. But you do have to go through the acknowledgement process again. So there was some confusion last year that what this was about was printing out those PDF evaluations and signing those and sending them. That's not what happens. If your office is comfortable with wanting a record of that, a paper record, you know, some people want a paper record, maybe the employee does. The PDF allows you to sign things, and if you want to keep them at a local level, but as far as HR and the administration of that is, we are accepting the electronic acknowledgement of the employee as the official record. Okay?
Those, all the documents that are in Omni, we will electronically transfer them to the personnel file, so they'll be available in the employee's personnel file and also for the supervisor and the employee to look through in Omni.
Okay. Sure, nobody has any questions?